I had a whole bunch of projects I was working on this winter that were on my list, and I have just one left to do that I never started. It's the middle of April and I'm just getting to this right now. Hopefully I can knock it out quick. I have to do seals, 3 of them on the transfer case, and then both front and rear pinion seals for the axles. So I've had these seals in for a long time. I just haven't gotten to it, and I really want to get this job done so I can get this thing out, wash it, and have it ready to go for summer. All right, let's scoot under here and take a look at the transfer case. First thing you'll notice is a pretty good puddle. Now that puddle took all winter to form there, so it's not like it's dumping out, but definitely want to address it. So let's take a look at the front of the transfer case. You can see it's pretty wet underneath the, I guess this is where the front drive shaft goes to the front axle, and then over here this is where the transmission feeds into the transfer case. It's real wet here too, so I will be doing all 3 of these. And you know, the good news is I took care of the transmission and the engine last winter, so when I take care of this transfer case and the pinion seals on the front and rear, I should be done, at least for now, dealing with leaks. All right, here we are on the back side. This is the drive shaft that runs to the rear axle. And you can see up in here, it's really wet there too, so I know this seal is leaking. And it's dripping down and probably following down here and again dropping into that big puddle. Let me show you one other thing just out of, because it's interesting to me. Being from Minnesota, we don't see this very often. But let me just show you the underside of the pickup bed here. I wish I had a lift to be able to get you a better shot of this. But this is really clean. There's just no rust. A little bit of surface rust. But if this had been in Minnesota its whole life, it wouldn't look like this. And I mean, this extends everywhere. All right, here I am underneath, I guess it'd be the fender, the front of the box. And it's just all solid metal, no rust. And even, you know, kind of running down the side underneath the cab too. These rockers, all this just solid metal. You just never see this in local trucks. All right, I'm going to start by dropping these 2 drive shafts. Before I do that, I want to mark them so I can put them back in the same orientation. Okay, I've got these drive shafts out of the way now. And I pulled the cotter key out. I have to get this nut off of here to remove this yoke to get at that seal. And I can do that, but This is such a tight space here that I can't really get a socket on there. So I'm going to have to modify a socket to fit. Okay, I'm going to show you my modified socket. This is it right here. And I remember it started out looking just like this. And what I did is checked it up in my lathe and actually hit it with a grinder and just spun it around and took the edge off. These seals right here need to be replaced. Rather than laying on my back here doing this underneath the truck, I think what I'll do is take these 4 bolts out and see if I can remove this plate, and then I can do the work on the bench. I'm going to need new gaskets. So I've got all 3 of those seal retainers off now. They're pretty caked, so I need to clean them up. Before I do that, I'm going to knock all of these seals out. Now I'm going to clean these up, get some gaskets for them, get the new seals in, and we should be ready to put them back in. So I had to order up gaskets for the transfer case. So while I'm waiting for those gaskets to come in, I think I'm going to take care of the front and rear pinion seals. You know, this job's been on my list for a long time, and these kind of jobs, it seems like the hardest part is getting started. You know, it's something you have to do. But it just kind of sits there on the list. And then when you finally do get going on it, it seems like it usually goes pretty well. It's not that big a deal. But just when it sits there and you don't do anything, it just looks like a bigger job than it really is. Let's start by draining the gear oil. This is kind of nice because it's actually got a plug in the bottom here and a fill here. I don't have to take this cover off. Alright, we're done with this assembly. Now we can start putting things back together. So the first thing I'm going to do is jump back on the transfer case and put the seals in each of these bearing retainers. They're all identical. This is actually this is for the rear of the transfer case. It goes to the rear end. The housing is different, but the bearing is still the same. Okay, my flange gaskets came in, so I've got all three of those ready to go. And I was doing a little reading on this, and they recommended new pinion nuts whenever they are replaced. So I went in and picked these up. Just know when you walk into a parts store and ask for these things, they're going to kind of stare at you. They don't really always know what they're looking for. So this one took a bit, but the guys were able to track these down and get them ordered up for me. So let's get going. All right, we're all done with that job. Now with my drive shafts back in, I can get this thing started and get it out of the garage, get it washed up and ready to go for the season. So I'm just going to roll it out the back of the garage here and start it up for the first time. I'll close out with that and we'll see you on the next round.